If I were king of Overwatch, Abridged. I have 5 other videos, about 10 hours long. This will connect. This video will condense it all down. So, the forms of Overwatch. Thanks, Morgan. This is by Plato. It's the ideal form of a city or the ideal form of a friendship. We'll do the ideal form of Overwatch. You should be allowed to play quick play and competitive. Why not? We're going to teach the executives how to do PvP. General overview. This paper is my resume to Blizzard. I'll work remotely for $0 per hour as long as I can make all the decisions. Please feel free to use my ideas even if you don't hire me. This paper disregards budget and technical limitations. I'm so glad PvP got canceled. Overwatch has heroes, and so you do comic books, novels for World of Warcraft, comic books for Overwatch. I don't care about PvE. I'm even wondering if I'm going to spend money to play the first one, but we'll see. It's in a couple days. uh, the unabridged version of this The unabridged version of this can be found on my YouTube page, Rex Overwatch. 5 videos. If I were King of Overwatch series, about 10 hours. So, I'm the King of Overwatch, and here's my mandates, right? We're going to do public source code. Not much needs said here. Aimbots are allowed on the ladder. More on this later. Sports and secrets do not mix well. Public source code. Sports and secrets, no. If you're going to have a sport, everything has to be clear to everybody. Public source code. Show hitboxes. At least let me flip back and forth between normal Overwatch graphics and polygon wireframe graphics. It would be a boon for low-end computers. Not letting me see hitboxes is quasi-keeping secrets. Sure, the info exists, but could you at least do me this solid? So, it's like a dartboard, right? If I want to throw a dart at a dartboard, I want to see the dartboard. I don't want to see a skin on the dartboard of, I want to see what I'm shooting at. Show the hitboxes. Code the game in, so stats, numbers, attributes on the F1 screen. We've been begging for this for a long time. Code the game in such a way that when you change the numbers on soldier's right click, it automatically changes the numbers on the F1 screen, right? So it just changes it automatically. You don't need an editor or to change the F1 numbers, right? If soldiers' bullets do 20 damage per second, put that on the F1 screen. If Anna's nade, if I hit you with it, if it lasts for 3 seconds, put that on the F1 screen. All attributes on the F1 screen. Rulebook. All sports. All sports need a rulebook. Include Overwatch. Make a rules tab in client. Start screen contains things such as the speed of the payload, 1, 2, or 3 people, etc., etc. I don't know exactly what would be in there, but there's one example. Um, you know, sports and rules books, sports and public source code, they go hand in hand. So, what's the right amount of heroes for a 6v6? 150? I would say if you did 7 versus 7, 300 heroes would be sufficient. So, this is kind of in the context of 15 versus 15 on Arathi Basin, Warsong Gultch, and all 30 Overwatch maps. We'll get more into this later, but it's important to say now to convey my general overview of what Overwatch should be. All no hero limits, but of course, right? So, 15 versus 15, 300, 400, 500 heroes. I don't know how many would be a good amount. No hero limits, about 30 maps. If it was 7v7, 300 heroes, 50 maps, no hero limits, I'd be happy with this. So, never do hero pools. Overwatch is busted by design. Don't let them fool you. People like hero pools because they are under the guise that Blizzard is trying to really hard to balance the game. They are not, right? So, it's possible to balance 300 heroes. Blizzard doesn't like balancing their game. They think it's cool when some heroes shine over others. And this is why people want hero pools and drafts. If all the heroes were equally powerful, this is not needed. Some people like to argue that it's impossible to balance Overwatch, but it's not. We'll get into this later. So, Blacklist Maps. I used to think that Blacklisting Maps was a good idea, but consider the sport of chess boxing. You're not allowed to blacklist chess and chess boxing. So likewise, you're not allowed to blacklist Numbani in Overwatch. So the sport of chess boxing is you play this game and you have to win a game of chess and win a round of boxing, right? This is chess boxing. You're not allowed to blacklist one of the maps, so to speak. Same thing in Overwatch. I just thought you could have separate ladders for each maps, but uh, I think it's much simpler where you cannot blacklist maps. There may be a separate game mode if you like only want to play King's Row or something, but we'll get into that later. Minimap, please. At least a mini map that only shows allies, but it can do more, like show ping and health, pack locations, etc. Want to get rid of health packs and give all heroes a small self-gen, right? I do like Halo 2, where it briefly pings an enemy that has been shot. If my ally can see it, then he can call it. And if he can call it, then I can see it automatically. I'm open to ideas on this one, but at the very least, I want a mini map that just shows my allies. You know, it's it's tough playing Reinhardt and not knowing what's behind me, right? You like physically have to check what is behind you. This is kind of lame. Just give me a mini map with my 4 allies. That's all I'm really asking. Allowed to see teammates' screens. Are you allowed to play with 4 friends at your house, group up, and enter the ladder and look at each other's screens? Then make the UI where I can see my allies' screens. Also make a UI where I can put my allies' cooldowns on my screens, right? Like it would be good to have Mercy's res. Mercy's allowed to say 20 seconds to res, 10 seconds to res, 5 seconds to res. So if she's allowed to say this, then I should be able to have a UI where I can see my allies' cooldowns, right? And this goes to Overwatch. Are you allowed to see your teammates' screens? Yes, you are allowed to look at them. So that means I should kind of be able to switch my screen so I can see what they're seeing, right? Like when you're in spawn room, right? But it would be like a mini screen, right? This is a little this isn't very important, but we're talking about the forms of Overwatch, right? Like so. All right, customizable HUD. This is I don't know why they didn't do this from day one, but probably to customize. Oh no, probably to standardize the HUD, right, for sales purposes, but OWL. But starting from the bottom left and we want a customizable HUD, and this is how it is. Starting from the bottom left and going anti-clockwise, we have health, right? Alt, alt. You got your ability and ammo down here. You got your kill feed. You got your score, and you got your comms. 6 UI elements. Each one of these UI elements needs to be adjustable for position, the size of it, and the opacity. It's so easy, right? And it can even get more granular than that, but that would be ideal, right? So this is one. All right, so we got keybind menu. This is one I thought about in World of Warcraft. Give me 3 to 5 keybind menu profiles. That way, if I mess up my keybinds, I can just load up one I saved before, when I'm tinkering. Like, you're doing your profiles, and you're so scared to mess it up, like, and then you gotta go back, and this and that. If I had these profiles, then I could play around with it, and if I goof it up, then I could just reset, Uh, I don't know. I don't know how much all this stuff would, like, how much would that cost? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got put 3 guys on it. I know you guys are loaded down with work in the first place, but you take 3 guys. How long does that take them? How much does that cost to actually do that in the game? But anyway, put Overbuff in client. Not much needs said here. No private profile. Sports are a public affair. So the site of Overbuff it would be in the client, right? There's no secrets. And I heard from someone that private profiles aren't going anywhere. They're here to stay because of the privacy of the users. Well, you can have privacy in quick play, but make them box a disclaimer that says when you play competitive, your stats are available for everyone. People don't play football behind a curtain. They don't play tennis behind a curtain, right? The idea of sports is that everybody gets to watch. Although it doesn't have to be that way, right? That is just tradition, I guess. But I don't know. It's a little bit philosophical, but obviously many people would want this. And I've thought of voluntary scoreboard contribution. So if you don't want your scores posted on the game while it's going, then you can check mark that off, and you don't have to post your games. But it's it's an argument that I just say too bad, right? You have to show your stats, but like I said, it's philosophical, and we get very very deep into it. But we'll keep moving on here. Eliminate the need for third-party websites. Icy Veins should be in the WoW client, right? So you would have to go to Icy Veins to equip your weapon in a certain way. Like, why not just put that in client, right? But no Battle 5 for tournaments. Path to Pro in client. I want Twitch in client too, but this one is a little less mandatory idea. If a top 500 person is playing, it shows this in the top 500 leaderboard, and I can click on them and watch their game. Lots of cool ideas. If people are willing to broadcast on Twitch, then they don't care about cheating. Maybe put it on a 5-minute delay. I don't know. Like, I want everything in client. I understand how the client is only for the game, and there's all these auxiliary, like, websites that help out Overwatch and do some of the work for Overwatch. But for the Battlefy tournaments, I don't want to create another account to play an Overwatch tournament. I don't want to go anywhere else. That's the thing. There's a lot of auxiliary tools that are needed for any types of sports, and they should be in client, right? We can see someone made someone made Overbuff. Obviously there is a need for this type of thing in sports, in PvP. So just put it in the client. I understand it's a lot of money, and like, looking from Blizzard's perspective, like, oh, we don't have to, someone will just do it for us. And that's fine, but put Twitch inside of Overwatch. Like, you should be able to click on people in the top 500 list, and if they're streaming, you should be able to watch them play in client with advertisements, right? That'd be cool. Voice comms and scoreboard and replay, right? Like, if I watch a replay, it'd be really nice if I could, like, hear the comms too, although people don't really talk a lot, and it would be nice to see the scoreboard too. I'm glad we have replays. That is awesome, but the more the better, right? Okay, so that was some general changes. Here's your matchmaker and ladder. Get this is I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I kind of made this up myself, but see how everyone else likes it. So, what are the parameters? What's the scenario? We're doing Arathi Basin and Warsong Gultch and King's Row, like a bigger King's Row, 15 versus 15, right? Just like World of Warcraft RPGs. So, football, Overwatch, and video games. A good way to think about this problem is how to make a ladder matchmaker and 11v11 football, like a Madden game. Football and Overwatch are similar in the aspect that it's a team-based game with classes, and playing linemen in football is very boring. You need to pay the linemen to pay, like you need to pay Mercy to play. Maybe not Mercy, but some. No one's going to play healer, so I need a way to pay them, right? We're in no hero limits. We need healers. No one wants to play healers. There should be some sort of currency where it incentive the tanks and the DPS pay the healer. Right now it's tank, right? Tank is not being played too much. So instead of, should have wrote this all down, but I'll try to freestyle a little bit. I think you know what I'm saying. That the if not a lot of people are playing healer, the way you could purchase this currency or you can earn it, right? It gets into the whole LFG type of thing, but hopefully we'll get there. Making a perfect ladder that was a little messy, but making a perfect ladder for 11v11 football is the same problem as making a ladder for Overwatch. Alright, so how would you make a ladder for 11v11 football? Same way you make a ladder for 15 versus 15 Overwatch, right? Kind of talking about the quality of life needed to make this stuff happen. View Overwatch as 10,000 basketball courts and a million players, all gambling for money and paying a small amount to use the courts. Who has the most money in the end? This is Elo. This is the rung. So important, so important. If you beat the champ, you are the champ. Instead of Elo, which is fine. I'm sure my system and Elo work pretty much identical. But this is better because it's cooler. And the way it works is that if a team of 5-year-olds plays the Los Angeles Lakers and the team of 5-year-olds beats the Los Angeles Lakers, they are now the champions. They don't earn extra points in Elo. They're the champs. They beat the Lakers. That's the end of the story. One of Elo's strong points is that you can't get all the chess players together in the world at once. But this is not the case in Overwatch. This is not the case in computer ladders. The games are going on constantly, 24/7, across the world. So Elo, there's no need for Elo anymore. If you beat the champ, you are the champ. Very easy, very easy. So I want to see how my rung ladder stacks up against the MMR or Elo. I think we get into this more later, but we'll go on a tangent for now. So, poker, Overwatch, and private profiles. Poker cash games are not obliged to record hand and chip counts. Poker tournaments are obliged to record hand and chip counts. Likewise, 100% random matchmaker insta-queues in Overwatch is not obliged to record one iota of information. Once you introduce a ladder matchmaker mechanic, it is mandatory to record every iota of information, including comms, not comms because the other team isn't obliged to have enemy comms, including which avoids you have when you queued, everything. So I have a video on my channel going into depth about this, and it says it right here, right? Poker cash games, not obliged. Poker tournaments, obliged. Likewise, random matchmaker, not obliged. Once you introduced ladder matchmaker mechanic, it's mandatory that all the information is kept on a ledger, right? This would be a little philosophical. There's room for argument, but it's my opinion, in my humble opinion. All ladder activity is public. I just explained this. It's a ladder of accounts, not of people. Important. That's the one thing that my argument works for, is that the ladder is not a ladder of people. It is a ladder of accounts. So to say someone is smurfing matters not. The account is there, not the person. It's very important. Everyone's replays are public. It would be nice if instead of the server saving only 10 games, it saved a million games. But oh well. I can click on your profile and watch your replays just as you can watch mine. If only 3 replays can be saved because of technical limitations, this is fine. I mean, it'd be nice if I could watch a replay from 5 years ago, but, you know, there's data storage costs money, so, you know, if I could see everyone's last 3 replays, that'd be kind of cool. So increase friends list slots. You should be able to friend all 40 million accounts. If YouTube can keep track of 130 million subs, I don't see the big problem is BNet 40 million friends too. Who cares about BNet? Allow a message to be sent alongside the friend request. Spammer is a column in the player directory akin to aimbot, cool dude, akin, akin to aimbot and cool person and stuff like this. So, um, this is bad. When I send a friend request, I should be able to send a message along with that, explaining why I'm sending the friend request. Um, Spammer, like, I don't know how to combat spam, but maybe this is really easy, right? Make it work like YouTube or Facebook, right? You can have 6 million subscribers. You can send messages back and forth, but uh, I'm really, I'm really confused and a little bit angry of why PvP games like World of Warcraft, Rated Battlegrounds, and Overwatch are so lacking on the tools we need to form cohesive teams. But anyway, remove stacking limitations, so bronzes can stack with GMs, 5 GMs can stack together, no stacking limitations, full stop, right? So we got 15 versus 15 Arathi Basin or 7v7 no hero limits, right? There's no grouping limitations, and I'll show how the ladder works with that. No grouping limitations, I just explained this. Bronze GM, everything in between. Get rid of competitive seasons. League of Legends resets once a year, I think, and I'm even against this. Does chess.com ever reset ELO ratings? No. Although you must have a very slow decay for all accounts that don't play, if all non-active accounts have a small amount of decay, reset is never needed. If no decay exists, then yes to a semi-reset, but decay and reset basically accomplish the same thing. Reminder, everyone starts at the bottom of the ladder and there is a small amount of decay. Free to play, unmoderated, anonymous team-based ladders. You can reset your rank at any time and also create an unlimited number of accounts. So you can take an account, it reached number 1, you can manually turn it down to the 40 million spot on the ladder, right? You can always voluntarily drop. This, some people might say, oh, but what about Smurfs? It's not a problem. It's not a problem. So, yep, legal legend. So if all accounts have a small amount of decay, a reset's never needed because you have to play in order to camp, and that's not camping. So let's keep going. Console players allowed on the ladder. With no aim assist, Overwatch is perfect for controllers and mouse and keyboard, Rhine, Brig, Mora, Reaper, etc. We do want a console only ladder though, although I wouldn't care because PC Master Race. Console only ladder is a must, not privy to. Like, I don't really know what the console people want, but yeah, I guess there should be console only ladders, but you should let console players allowed on the ladder. People play on the computer and they play Reinhardt and they use a controller. So I don't see what the big problem is. If you beat the champ, you are the champ. Alright. So get into the rung system a little bit. This replaces Elo. I would probably be fine with Elo, but you can't argue for my rung ladder. If you beat the champ, you are the champ. The way this works is that if first, second, third, fourth, and fifth place get beaten by 1 millionth in first and 1 millionth in second, 1 millionth third, fourth, fifth, etc. place, then they advance to first place. There can be ties on the rung, and the first place gets knocked down to second, and those below get knocked down. But this isn't 100% necessary because I talked to Dev and he said rewrite would be astronomical. So ideally, if these really bad players beat the top players, they would knock them down a rung, right? And all the other ones would fall down a rung, but you would have to read and write all the people below, and that would get expensive. So there can be ties or only 100 below get knocked down a rung, but take time to freestyle and explain exactly how a rung ladder works. Take notes during monologue. I'm not going to do that, but I may do a separate video explicitly detailing how the rung ladder works, how unlimited avoid his opponent works, and unlimited avoid his teammate works, and the player directory all in one. It's basically how all team-based ladders should work. But yeah. So if you beat the champ, you are the champ. That's the main takeaway here. How to administer free-to-play anonymous. This is our problem, right? And no one is doing it correctly, right? Because the first correct step is to make everything public. So no one has a clue what they're doing, in my humble opinion. But anyway, how to administer free-to-play ladder. How to administer free-to-play, anonymous, unmoderated, team-based ladders, right? So, very easy. It's very easy. Alright. Any GM can let their little brother play on their account, right? So what are we trying for here? What, you think there's integrity in the ladder? No, let's give the people the tools to navigate the ladder. Any GM can sell their account for $100, right? So what are we trying to stop here? Any GM can lose as much as they want. What are you complaining about Smurfs for? He can just lose as much as he wants. What, you want AI to detect how good he is? Knowing all these things, what are the next best steps we can take? The problem may be solved 30, 40, 50 years in the future when we have quantum computers, but let's solve it organically now. Very natural. It's just switches and levers, and everybody will love the ladder. They'll have a great time. It may be the same. We may do all this work and get 0% increase in game enjoyability, but it will not get 1 iota worse. And I think it will get better, of course, but we'd have to see. Knowing all these things, what are the best steps we can take, right? Alright, so I think what Blizzard currently does to combat this is done in vain and only improves experience about 3%. I like to think my way would improve experience 25 to 100%. A public ladder improves match experience because without knowledge of the ladder, a match is always garbage. Haha. Right? So if you want to talk about game experience, you have to show me, you have to reveal all information, because if I don't have all that information, then I'm not having a good time. Right? Edit this part, make it Magnus Opus, Pinnacle, Nexus of why my ladder is the only way. You have to show slides here. So I was imagining doing this whole presentation, but this is an abridged version. That is the key thing that I have a couple other videos that touch on it, but it's very important that everything works in conjunction with each other. So hopefully in the future I'll have time to explicitly show how all this is the problem right here, right? How all free-to-play, anonymous, unmoderated, team-based ladders work, right? There's a way to do it with not guilds, but player directories and unlimited avoid his teammates and public information and the rung system, and it would be very cool. Hopefully I'll get around to making that video someday. But why GMs selling their accounts is okay? It's okay because you can't really stop it. and we face this fact earnestly, we'll be well on our way to improving match quality. I don't want your accounts tied to your social security number like in Korea. Like, that's fine. Like, it's not a privacy concern I'm worried about, but I don't really think it's going to do much. Um, yeah, fear of jail time or fines. I really don't think it's a good solution, but and especially because what I have in mind, I think it would work really, really well. So I don't see that. I don't know much about the Korean system, but we'll see. You know, South Korea, I guess you tie your accounts to their social security number, but anyway. Let GMs dunk on noobs. There will be unlimited avoid as opponent slots, so the bronzes can avoid opponents diamond and up. But I don't really think they would do this anyway. And with my ladder rung system, sandbagging in groups to boost isn't beneficial whatsoever. Sandbagging in groups to boost is beneficial with an MMR system. So, with the rung system, I haven't thought all the way through. Maybe sandbagging is you're just going to change the strength of your opponent. But since the winners always go one rung above the losers, then there's no benefit to artificially deflating your rank. It would change the opponents you get, but not the rewards. Whereas in ELO, there's a clear benefit to sandbagging, right? Because the reward changes. I gotta look further into that because that seems really bad and seems my rung system will really shine there. But anyway, starting new accounts on the bottom of the ladder. To combat voice spam in the lowest rungs, to enter voice chat, you must push a button and agree you're 18 years or older. Starting new accounts on the bottom of the ladder. Very important. And this is in quick play and competitive. You don't get seeded. Your very first game of competitive, you're at the bottom of the ladder. Every single account, all the time, every time. Bottom of the ladder, first game of competitive. No seeding whatsoever. It's not needed. You would just have a big, broader pool of people to pick from at the very lowest games. Like, it would be bronze to, like, mid gold, or bronze to, like, low gold or high silver. Like, this would be the player pool, right? Because they'd be 5-minute queues. The player pool would be very, very wide at the bottom. And if you're good enough, you just climb right on out. So I don't see what the problem is. So 25 cents, winner takes half, advertisement, Twitch. I've had this idea where alright, so this is where the presentation gets a little haywire, right? I wanted to spell everything out exactly, but it was it's a little laborious, so try to freestyle some of this. So the way you sponsor gambling, I wish the system worked in Overwatch. GoPro Yanu and the Color of Money, Paul Newman, is like how someone stakes you, right? The sponsor pays 10 and split win, or sponsor loses all 10. This is how you get people to play Mercy, right? Like, you sponsor a Mercy, like it costs 25 cents to play a game of Overwatch, and you say to Mercy, hey, I'll pay for your thing, and if we win, I get half of your winnings. There's a gambling system that I'm talking about, but I haven't really explained. But this is the abridged version, so we'll keep going. SR rank, and this also has to do with the player directory and how competitive ladders should work. But anyway, SR tied to server. Put a server in every megapolis. Show population of the world slide. I'm not going to open it right now, but you know, there's a server in Singapore, and there's one in New Delhi, and there's one in Cairo, and there's one in Rio de Janeiro, right? Like, and each one has its own server, right? There's one in New York, and there's one in LA, right? I know the one is in Chicago. This is a little bit above my head, but I think the correct way to do it to reduce ping and stuff is that you just have a ladder on each server, and you can't carry your rank from one server to the other. So we got Blacklist Maps. This is a tough one, and I'm left with the problem of you can be number one on the ladder and only play King's Row. I used to want to blacklist maps, but I don't think it's correct when measuring who is the best at Overwatch. We're measuring how well you can play all the maps, so I think balancing the picture, consider chess boxing. I think I already said this. I guess you could have separate ladders for all different maps, but that's not what Overwatch is, right? Overwatch is 50 maps, 30 euros. I really want blacklisting maps, but I don't think it's right for competitive. Maybe you could have separate ladders in another mode where like you're only playing King's Row. This would be fine, and I don't care about separating the player bases. This isn't too much of a problem, but I think that would be the optimal solution. Is in when you enter competitive, you agree to play any of 50 maps, but there is a Kings only ladder, right? Kings Row only ladder, and there is a Numbani only ladder, etc., right? So, current problems with the LFG. It's a really bad experience for the group leader because you have to sit as the group leader with no QOL to help you out. I saw kind of how WoW, Rated Battlegrounds, looking for groups did this. This might be the solution, but a player directory would be worth its weight in gold. It seems like in World of Warcraft, people can sign up to multiple groups at once, and then they get invited in and interviewed or something like this. But I would use the LFG in Overwatch as a group leader. And you're just sitting there, and you're trying to get people in, and they're trolling you, and you're trying to get this game going, and then people wait too long and they leave, and the LFG is about filling up your friends list, right? It's not about playing a game right then and there. But Blizzard doesn't give me the quality of life I needed to interview these people and fill up my friends list and everything. They don't even tell me what server you play on. I could be interviewing a guy from halfway around the world, and I would have no idea. It's I'm angry. Anyway, unlimited void as teammate slots. If I have 1,000 friends and only play with them, I'm essentially voiding the rest of the entire ladder. This shows that unlimited avoid as teammate slots is doable. Yes, GMs and bronzes can end up in the same lobby, but there will be a myriad of QL to help even the noobiest of noobs navigate through the ladder. So it's easy to show right here that unlimited avoid as teammate slots is 100% kosher, right? Because if I can choose who to play with, I can choose who not to play with. I always get to pick who's on my team. This is the essence of unmoderated, free to play, anonymous team-based ladders, right? I always have 100% opportunity to pick who's on my team. And by saying that, picking who's not on my team is exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, I can throw myself to the randomized matchmaker, right? But it's very easy to do. If you think it will cause problems in the ladder, it won't. And I'll give you this little tidbit here. All the arguments I've heard against it are in the same vein of if someone somewhere in the world is not playing Overwatch, they're contributing to longer matchmaking times, right? If someone is in the garden, they're contributing to longer matchmaking times. Well, yes, this is technically correct. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. So, all right, levers. Levers will never be a problem because you have unlimited avoid as teammate slots. If everyone is allowed to leave and you're allowed to avoid limitlessly and every game still has a lever in it and queues take forever, too bad. Dan be the naysayers. By the way, I don't think this would ever happen. It's just Plats and GMs will be in the same lobby about 50% of the time. If you leave and your game goes on to win, you still get credit for the win, 15 versus 15, 100 versus 100. So say there's a game of Overwatch, 100 versus 100. And you log in, and you're starting the game, and as soon as it starts, you leave. Well, your team is now it's now 99 versus 100. Say the 99 team wins, the one you left from, well, you still get credit for the win. Not a big problem. I don't really think we want to. The way to discourage leaving is that you have unlimited avoid. Everyone has unlimited avoid. So if you're a habitual leaver, you will be avoided and you'll never find a game. You have to create another account, start at the bottom of the ladder. This is all very organic. And let's see, leavers will become, if everyone is allowed to leave, I forget what I was going to say. Oh yeah, the thing with unlimited avoid as teammate slots is that in the wee hours of the morning or whatever, GMs and bronzes may end up on the same team. But this is not a big, this problem is not as severe as what is going on now, right? I think the cure is worse than the disease. Yeah. Alright, so unlimited avoid. Alright. Unlimited avoid is opponent slots. Now, disclaimer, I haven't worked this all the way through, but I've been talking with people and they show me problems with it, and as they do, I add on to the triggers necessary to make this work. So the way this works is, think about boxing, right? I'll actually put that in here. Boxing. Okay, so every 9 months. Okay, so the way professional boxing works in the heavyweight division, remember, a 120-pound guy can enter the heavyweight division. It's no limit to the amount of weight, right? So in the premier boxing division, I'm sure it's the same with welterweight and featherweight and all that. But anyway, you have to defend your title every 9 months. If you win you beat Mike Tyson and you take his belt from him, you're the champion. If you don't if you don't defend your title, if you don't play a match of boxing in 9 months, it's forfeited. I don't know how the next person gets the title. Maybe the second and the third place fight, and that guy gets the belt. But this is the underlying mechanic that makes unlimited avoid as opponent slots work. Same with Overwatch. I think it should be done a day. If you win rank 1 in Overwatch, you can hold it for a day. And if you don't play, or if you don't win, defend your title within 24 hours, you get knocked down or rung. Right? So, alright. And if anybody has any, can see any problems with this system, leave it in the comments, right? This is something I'm working on, but I think it's 99% done. Like, I think it would actually really work. And to say one more thing before we start, is that you should kind of be able to play, since you can sell your accounts, you should kind of be able to play against your friends in a 10 stack on the ladder. Like, I have 9 friends, and we're all going to play a game together, and it's going to count on the ladder. Meaning, if you have an unlimited avoid as opponent slots, you're also allowed to, like I said, pick the entire 10 cast of 10 and play on the ladder, right? So, and you're allowed to sell accounts anyway. So if people think you're going to be cheating by doing this and, letting people climb ahead of you that don't deserve it, like, you're allowed to sell them your account. So what is the difference, And you're allowed to sell them your account because you can't police that. So, anyway, let's get started. Limited avoid as opponent slots. I would be fine if avoided opponent slots didn't exist at all, but let's dive into it anyway and see if we can make it work. There would have to be a small amount of decay. My rung ladder is perfect. Oh, shoot. Control Z. Oh, yeah. Alright. So, you may have to blanket avoid down the highest person you avoid. Example, if you're rank 1 and you avoid Plat to GM, this may let you keep your rank by only playing Gold to Bronze. So to avoid this, if your highest opponent you avoided was 3200 SR, you'd also have to avoid as opponent all the people below that. I think this would work, so long as they are lower than you. If you're bronze and avoid a GM, obviously you wouldn't be forced to avoid everyone lower than them. And say you avoided someone higher than you, but then just won a game and ranked up above that person, the blanket avoid that opponent and down would automatically kick in the background, right? Had to say that. I'll spell this all out, but this is the abridged version. So you can see that the problem with the GM, if he avoids the diamonds and the plats, and he only defends against bronze and silvers, well, that's not, obviously that's stupid. So if you avoid people below you, you also automatically avoid everyone below that person to avoid that. So if everyone avoided as opponent the number 1 person, so thank you to someone on Twitter for pointing this out to me. This is like the only thing, after spouting this for a year or so, finally someone gave me some good feedback. So thank you to that person who forced me to, force for all the people that trolled me. I want to thank this guy. But anyway, he made all the trolls worth it. So if everyone avoided as opponent, the number 1 person would have to stay in queue for 15 minutes to maintain their rank. I already said it. Thanks to the person on Twitter for pointing this out. So say your rank, say the guy who gets rank 1 and everybody hates him, right? They just don't like this guy. So they get on Reddit together and we're all going to avoid him as opponent, so you can never find a match. Well, this is fine, but he has to queue up for I just thought of this recently. He has to queue up for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and when queuing this, no avoid as opponent available. So if everyone avoided the number 1 person, he would have to stay in queue for 15 or 20 minutes a day to maintain his rank, right? So someone's going to have to play him eventually, or he can just stay there forever. But also, when he's doing his mandatory 15-minute or 20 minutes in queue, he also cannot avoid any opponents. He has to take any and all challengers. And then maybe people could get in collusion and avoid him as opponent. The plats and diamonds can avoid him as opponent, so he plays silvers. Like I said, avoid his opponent may be scrapped entirely, but it's worth looking into. Yeah, that would be a problem if there was collusion. I mean, you can sell accounts anyway. And anyway, this is the abridged version, and I'm going to go through this and try to do the entire rung ladder unmoderated thing, so we'll just keep moving on. This is a ladder of accounts, not of people. So the top 10,000 spots may be occupied by aimbots, but with all the QOL I'm proposing, it would be easy to see J3, Flats, Mito, Seagull, Emong on the ladder, etc., etc. So with all this, like, yeah, maybe the top 10,000 slots are all aimbots. Remember, aimbot, we want the best game of Overwatch. We don't care if it's done by a human or a computer. It's like in a race, right? In a race, you got 10 people ready to run 100 yards. but then you have a Ferrari next to them. Well, the judges are only looking at the people. The Ferrari's going to win, but that's no reason to disallow the Ferrari on the track. It can go on the track. We're just looking at the people. This is why aimbots are allowed on the ladder. Like, we're not looking at the Ferrari, right? We're not looking at the aimbots. It doesn't matter if they occupy the first spot. But anyway, I really, really have to delve deep into this topic. But abridged version. So bots are allowed on the ladder. Unlimited avoid his opponent. I recently played COD Warzone 2, and after every time I got a kill, the kill cam started playing. There was a button I could press that was report aimbot with cheaters. Makes a lot of sense. Clicking through 5, right? Oh god, it's bad. And this number would be recorded and shown, and you could sort by the ladder, highest percentage where people kill. Like, one-click aimbot reporting, please. I mean, I didn't even know that existed until I played COD, but anyway. You can pick your opponent. Me and friend played chess for elo points. This ties into avoid his opponent. I don't know. Okay, so this one's highlighted here. And this is the most important thing you can give us on your road to guilds. There's a win-loss tie record I've accumulated with all the opponents. I want a number on every account that I see, and it looks like this: 0/0/0, and again 0/0/0. This is the win-loss draw record I've accumulated with all 40 million individuals. The top is what I've done when you are on my team, what you've done when you're on my team, and the bottom is what you've done when you are on the opponent's team. I have 1 win with you, 3 losses, 0 draws. When I met you on the opponent's team, I won 2 games, you won 2 games, and we had 1 tie, right? This is the statistic that is most important. And I'm just going to stop here. I don't know. This is so important. It's so important. I'm going to take a little break. I don't know how to highlight this. Oh, shoot. You know, to make this appear, you know, make this stand out. But this is so important. This is the one thing that needs to be recorded for PvP ladders. Because if I'm going to interview you to be on my team, all stats play second fiddle to this number. Yeah, you've played Overwatch for 5 years and you topped out in, you know, top 100, and these are your stats and blah blah blah, but you've won 1 game with me and lost 20, right? That's why this stat is so important. It's so important. And to curtail sabotage. There could be trolls that just lose with you on purpose, right? For no other reason than that. And that is exactly the reason why I would want this to be recorded. You know, and if it's going to force that person to keep a 50-50 win rate with me, even though they could achieve a 75% win rate, great. If you're just wasting my time, that's better than you know, de-ranking me. But and then also one other thing, for my rung system, or whether it's MMR, it would be nice to know how many MMR points I've actually gained and lost with you, as opposed to the sheer win-loss record, right? Obviously, the you know, everything's doable, right? We're working with computers here. It's very easy to, it's just simple math. But anyway, like I said, very important. This is so important. But my voice is kind of going out a little bit. Okay. Taking notes on accounts, thumbs down, thumb up. Inbound tag, one giant Excel sheet, show slides. So this is your bridge. I was planning to do a very more intricate thing, but uh, so I want a player directory. That's what this basically is. QL to navigate ladder. Stop being lazy. I'm going to be lazy. Right. The ultimate goal of a team-based ladder is 1,000 people online. That right. Although unlimited. But with the key I'm talking about, you'd have more cohesive groups. Avoid his teammates. So the ultimate goal of the LFG is to fill up your friends list. And I have 1,000 friends. And if I have 1,000 friends, anytime I log on, there's 5 available to play. Right. So that's the idea behind this. And unlimited avoid his teammates would work just the same without all this guild stuff, right? I've noticed that I've won one game with you. These are people on the random ladder. I've won one game with you and I've lost 9. I'm avoiding you for 3 months, right? Very easy. How to use my QOL. Coach's Suite. An OWL Pro should be able to make money in Overwatch client by offering coaching. And also by selling accounts, right? But anyway, what would this OWL want to facilitate his coaching, right? So if in the top 500 there would be an icon on the player and it says coach, right? And you could click on his profile and you can say $4.99 for 1 month of coaching, you know. What would this guy want to be able to coach you? He'd want to hear the comms and replay. He'd want to be able to draw on the screen during replay, right? Anything this guy might need, it should be available to all players for other reasons other than coaching. Chalkboards and addons, alt trackers should be able to be used in the game, third-party APIs, but there shouldn't be a need for add-ons in WoW because we're assuming that we have an unlimited budget and such QL is already programmed into the game, right? There's no such need for add-ons in WoW because we're assuming we have unlimited money. So as someone makes an add-on, we automatically put it in the game. You turn it on and off if you want. Let me say 30 meter ring to indicate fall-off damage, even though I think fall-off damage should be gotten rid of. But anyway, chalkboards and ads. Like, why can you can have add-ons in World of Warcraft, but you can't in Overwatch? I don't think this. I'm fine with aimbotters. Let aimbotters on the ladder, no problem. I'll avoid them as opponent, right? So why guilds won't work? No one likes guild shopping. Guilds are fine as long as you can create a limited amount of them, and guilds are fine as long as you can be as members as many as you want. So if the guilds work like friend lists, that's fine. But yeah, individual guild SR, it's kind of cool. It would be if you gave me my player directory and my LFG and all the quality of life I'm talking about. Yeah, you could have guilds for fun and a guild SR, but I'm not very interested in it, so I don't really talk about it too much. But like I said, the player directory is more important than guilds. And 1v1 mirror ladders, the 2v2 mercy ladder would be the one that the mercies vie for because obviously pistol mercy is important, but healing mercy is important too. There should be elimination ladders 1v1 all the way up to 15 versus 15. Right, like I've heard the thing that you don't want to divide your player pool. This is bad because what you're saying is that you shouldn't publish books. You shouldn't make Overwatch and publish books because people might read the books dividing your player base. This is ridiculous. We're trying to make people play Overwatch because it's fun. We're not by discouraging them from doing other things. What kind of mentality is that? But anyway, yeah, we want we want 1v1 Genji ladders, right? We want to see maybe the best Genji in the world can't play a lick of competitive. It doesn't matter. We want the 1v1 ladders. Like, arenas in World of Warcraft, those are more popular. There should be 1v1 arenas. I don't see why it has to be 2v2, but the actual game or hero design. So maybe that so that's about it, right? That's about it for the entire game. Right? Now we'll get into like the actual game and the hero design and like Overwatch is pretty cool. I disagree strongly on some of the things that you guys do, but I mean generally, like the game's it's pretty okay. It's gotten worse over time, but we'll just kind of talk about this. So, riff on balance. Balancing games like Overwatch, League of Legends is very easy. If a hero wins too much, it gets a nerf. Balance is so easy. It's the easiest thing there is. The League of Legends guy did a talk on it. You don't balance for low ranks. F the low rank people. It doesn't matter. There's only one division, and that is the competitive division. It doesn't matter if you're silver or you're GM. It is just one division. And if Brig or if Moira is a free ride up to high plat, low diamond, too bad. Too bad. It has to be balanced to the upper echelon. Sure, you can make little changes and stuff to make it a little more pain free in the lower ranks, but the balance is key at the top. The five heroes, and here's how you balance: the five heroes that won, the five heroes that lost, and the rest of the heroes that saw no play time. Those are the three categories, right? The five that won, the five that lost, and the ones that saw no play time. And obviously, it would be divided up in time played, and it's very easy. This is the abridged version, but and the way you would balance them is you're going to nerf and buff. The five heroes that win get a nerf, and the five heroes that lost get nothing. And the rest of the heroes that saw no playtime get a buff. And the rest of the heroes are buffed in accordance with how much the five heroes were nerfed. And it's just 1 point, right? You can do it only on health, but I think it would be fun to do Ryan and his hammer, and Soldier plus or minus his gun, Mercy plus or minus yellow beam, etc. So if Ryan wins a match, he's going to get a nerf. And that would be a half a point on his shield and a half a point on his hammer. And if Soldier wins, he gets a nerf. This is the number one game. I'm not going to spell this out. I've already done this a whole bunch. But anyway, it's very easy to balance. So, Brig gets free ride of plat, so be it. Even with OWL, I saw balance on the ladder. Obviously, 5 stacks, obviously only top 500. Should be moderated for aimbots. $5. Yeah, so I've gone over this. I was planning on doing a real detailed presentation, but I just need to get this out here. So, just trust me. Balancing is very easy. It's very very easy. So we'll talk about the archetypes of this. You know, Overwatch's Dungeons and Dragons. You got the four main classes: the fighter, the rogue, the mage, and the cleric. And this would be Rhine, Tracer, Pharah, and Mercy. And I put Tracer on the rogue because she was an OG character. The rogue is really Sombra, right? But Pharah's a mage because she flies and shoots fireballs, and cleric. Um, Brig is kind of the cleric, but there's some overlap, right? It's not exactly one for one, but we see all the 11. This is from 3.5, right? All the 11 classes plus a couple I added, the monster and the tinkerer. So we got the barbarian and who fits these categories. Anna, Bap, Kiriko, and Sig don't seem to fit neatly into any of these classes, right? See, I think Mercy's more like a druid, right? She's like a fae. Reaper, Doom. See, this is it. Overwatch is Dungeons and Dragons, right? Pretty simple. Um, Yeah. Let you just look at that for a little bit. And this is why, excuse me, this is why you balance with numbers, right? We are trying to make these heroes as much like the lore. You design around lore. I always say, I can imagine a monkey from the moon, but I can't imagine a monkey that can only jump once every 6 seconds, right? You design the hero around the lore, around the archetype, and then you just balance with numbers. But you never only let the monkey jump every 6 seconds because that doesn't make sense. You just change his health or change his gun. So this is 7v7, no hero limits, right? That's what we got. So here's all my changes for the game, like the actual game. We'll try to get through this quick. Remove health packs. All heroes have a small self heal. Enemy health bars. If my teammate can see it, then so can I. Right? If I shoot an opponent, I get to see his health bar. Can I relay that over comms? Yeah. So why not just show it to my friend in the first place? Auto shot caller, auto ping, last person that dealt damage. Right? Like, if I shoot you, I want the ping to automatically hit you. Meaning that as I change targets, I always ping the last person I deal damage to. This would be an add-on, right? Heal top off is lame. It's very difficult to tell who needs 1 point of healing when there's downtime, so why not just have self-heal? It's stupid. It's stupid. Remove ammo and reloads, only for some heroes. Maybe Bastion still has a reload, and maybe Tracer for a good feel for the character. But like Soldier and Pharah, Reaper, get rid of the reloads. It's stupid. It's stupid. Overwatch is a game of tug of war. Which heroes will be have the reload? I can't think of right now. Right? Like I want to try it. Maybe I'm wrong here, but Soldier and Pharah, unlimited ammo, no reloads. Return to no hero limits. Y222 and hero limits is wrong. I've already been over this. I'm not going to go through it again. Knee walls and shores. Get rid of knee walls. Or if you can knock them down, at least set them back up on the second round, like Rialto. Right? They shouldn't stay down. Instant respawns. Let's try 3-second respawns. I think Overwatch would be a lot more fun if there were 0-second respawns. Obviously, this would get rid of Mercy's res. Maybe there would still be a way to do it, but 10 seconds is fine too. It's not that big of a deal, but toggle reload cancel, Zen reload orb. Yeah, like I want to. You guys did a quality of life overhaul on all the heroes, and that was great. But one thing you didn't do was if I start a reload with Zen, I don't want to cancel that with an orb, right? Like always let the reload finish. And I could turn this on or off, depending on people's preferences and their play style. But yeah, this is important. When I start a reload as Zen, I don't want it to be interrupted with when I throw an orb. I just want not the orb not to go until the reload's finished. But the orb's not available while I'm reloading. But fall off damage, Soldier's Gun does the same thing from 20 yards or 200 yards, right? I don't know what fall off damage is supposed to represent. I don't know why it's in the game. If it's easier to balance that way, that's a crap idea. Same thing with Cass's revolver, 20 yards or 200 yards. Does it represent the improbability of hitting a shot with a revolver from 200 yards, 300 yards away? I don't know what fall off damage is. Because it doesn't exist in real life, but I don't know. I want to know the history of fall off damage. Like, what was the first game was like, oh yeah, this would be a good idea. And it's kind of cool. It's okay. But, alright, CTF the right way. So, when you have to carry your flag back, right? I really this is part of the presentation where I just kind of gave up on. I'm just going to put this out here, but the way capture the flag works is that you have to return your own flag back, meaning that you actually have to carry it back, meaning that you're allowed to pick up your own flag from the start of the match, but this is the abridged version, so respawn button and kill all teammates for tanks. You should have suicide buttons in Overwatch, right? So that your whole team can come back at the same time. So yeah, respawn button, and even for the tank should specifically have a button where he gets to kill all his teammates, so you can all respawn at the same time. Alt charge preserved when swapping. They really effed this up for the longest time, and they finally gave in, and now you're not even getting 1-to-1 ratios back. But ugh, these people are so bad. They're so bad at making video games. Overwatch is busted by design. Don't let them fool you. No hero limits, easy to balance. How to perfectly balance Overwatch. Ryan versus Widow. Field versus Labyrinth. So I'm about done with this presentation. Widow headshots. Mercy beam. I don't know what that is. Ult charge gain from hitting shields. Yeah, Ryan and his shield are the same thing. There's no reason why. What about this? Like, Ryan's shield doesn't generate alt charge, but Sig's does. Like, it's a special ability for the shield. It's not generally that all shields, don't grant alt charge. That's, even though Ryan and his shield are the same thing. Sig and his shield are the same thing, but that doesn't mean that I wish all shields generated all charge, right? Like, you should be encouraged to shoot the shield, right? That is what threat is. Anyway, Overwatch is a cobbled mess because they won't let it be free, right? Like, you want to... there's Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid, and it just makes for a fucking shit game. It's so bad. Voltron, let Brig Mount Orisa, etc., etc. Farah's Anon, Farah's back. No reload, infinite ammo. Defined balance. Fall off damage. Let Mercy. Mercy's damage boost. It has to boost Hanzo's ult. Armor. It's fine. There was a lot of work left on this, but Brig Bench cancels ult, no good. Realistic balance, realism makes for healthy CC. Lucio speed boost and capture the flag. Yeah. I've already said all these things in the unabridged version, but Soldier's always 200 HP. Mercy Widow headshot. Some cornerstones for my balancing method. Most abilities have 2 charges, like dynamite. Yeah, I wish Ash's dynamite worked like Junkrat's mine, where he had like 2 charges. Shield hexes, been over this. D&D, Pokemon water, right? Like, we want like attack types. Should I do a section of brief summary of how I'd like the heroes to work? Rapid fire 30 seconds for hero might be boring and make these videos too long. Like, yeah, I got ideas for all the heroes, but I already did that in previous episodes. E equals MC square, then we balance with numbers alone, right? Make it as realistic possible, then design realistically as possible, then you balance with numbers. A cool mechanic is everyone drops something on death. Like Lifeweaver Lotus, Lucio Boombox, maybe Soldier and Cast, just health, I don't know. But a way to make melee heroes more powerful by default, right? So if all dying characters, or most, 75% of the cast, drop something on death, this would help melee characters. They had a problem with Genji on this. I wish I had an editor But yeah, so if you have a problem with melee characters, you just make a majority of the heroes drop something on the death. So, right? Pretty easy. Alright, so we're gonna. I think we're almost done here. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. Now, who can mount Orisa, right? So, Orisa is a mountable character, right? This would be very cool. So who can ride her? Maybe Baby Diva, maybe not. Maybe Ram, maybe no. Not Czar, but like Ash can and Cass, right? It's obvious. See, it's funny that Hanzo can, but not Genji, right? Because Hanzo's an archer and Genji's a ninja. No, no, no. Probably not Junk or these guys. Soldier doesn't have riding horse skills. Like Soldier might be able to, but maybe not. Not Torb. Dwarves are scared of horses. Like this is the design, right? And obviously this design is going to change the power of the heroes, but we balance with numbers, right? We don't balance with design. The design is set in stone. The design is right. It says Torb cannot ride Orisa. Dwarves are scared of horses. He's too short, right? The design is already set in stone. We already know who can mount Orisa and who can't. With some are up for interpretation, but this shows that you design for realism and then you just balance with numbers. So maybe Tracer, probably not Widow. See, a lot of these guys Brig can. A lot of these guys can't, and it's up for interpretation. But some are set in stone, meaning like Brig, yes, the Paladin can get on the horse. It's obvious. Hanzo, obvious, right? You design E equals MC square is good for design. And it can climb on Farah's back. So Farah has. So I want Farah to be a free flying hero, just like in Mercy's Ultimate, right? She can just fly forever as much as she wants, and then when Anna jumps on her back, now her boosters work like they would normally, right? Anna climbing on Farah's back is a little bit of a troll thing, like it doesn't necessarily have to happen, but I in the end I really wouldn't want it because while it makes sense and it would be cool, it would be too ridiculous to put in a AAA game like Overwatch, I guess. But if they put it in there, I wouldn't mind it. I don't know. This is kind of weird, but anyway, who can Widow one headshot? Wrecking Ball. So I have an idea, and I'll probably go back through this, but this is kind of the end. For the Widow, body shots shouldn't count. She should get a clean hit, a clean headshot. It shouldn't kill Mayor Reaper, maybe not, but it does kill Junker Queen. Like, only headshots count, body shots don't. I think this would be a cool way to balance the sniper class, but I don't know. Like a lot of these things, I would have to see how they work. But yeah, that's the abridged version. Maybe go back down to this. Some of these things I really skipped out on, but like I said, this is the abridged version. That wasn't too long, if I type that out. But anyway, yeah, I think that's it for the presentation. Overall, I am very disappointed in Overwatch. Because there's no guilds or whatever you want to call them. There's no player directory. There's no unlimited void as teammate slots. There's no stats on the F1 screen. It might as well be me versus 9 computer opponents, right? There's no social aspect to the game. Some people use Discord to play, but it should all be in client. So the PvE is coming out shortly. I wonder if I'm going to spend money on it. I probably will, just to try the first one. I'm not very interested in the PvE. But yeah, I am. I just want to go to Blizzard headquarters and just watch them for a month or two, because a lot of these decisions, I'm sure there's really good reasons behind why Overwatch is the way it is. So this goes to the forms of Plato, right? What I've just described is the form of Overwatch. There can be small disagreements, but in general, I think everyone would agree with me. And if they don't, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what other people's forms of Overwatch is. But when the rubber meets the road, you have to make concessions, and then Overwatch becomes what it is now, which is a hot steaming pile of crap. But anyway, no, I'm sure these guys are working hard, and hopefully they're making a lot of money. They sold enough cereal and action figures, so. But yeah, I think that's about it for it. If I could leave by saying one thing, is a player directory, right? I want I don't want a top 500. I want a top 40 million. I want a list of all the players from first place to second place, all the way down to 40 millionth place. It can be on a separate website. I don't care. Global leaderboards would be really good. But yeah, that concludes this presentation. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more, because I'll probably do the player directory and the unlimited avoid his teammate and opponent slots next. But thanks for listening, and hope to see you soon. Bye.